Hey everyone, before this video gets started, I just wanted to apologize. I've been having some technical issues with getting OBS, the software that I use to capture the video and make the videos over like my face overlay and everything. Uh, I've been having some issues with that. It's consuming a bunch of CPU. It's consuming a bunch of CPU whenever I'm recording, and so uh, I end up hitting an issue where you'll see it in the video, but basically the face cam will freeze and there will be a little bit of lag in the screen. I think that the audio should be okay in this video, but I've tried recording videos for the To Do app at least 3 times now, and I've hit the same issue. So I'm working on that. Bear with me. But in the meantime, hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Alright, what's going on everyone? My name is Cameron. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are actually not going to be looking at the To Do app. I kind of wanted to throw in a little bit of a break. I actually kind of wanted to throw out the idea of maybe doing a like what are you working on type of video for Saturdays. Where I basically talk about like what it is that I'm currently working on as like my own side project. I do a lot of dev work throughout the week, both for my day job and then for just for fun on the side. That's how I learn. That's how I mean, some people play video games, and don't get me wrong, I do also. I'm like the rest of you, but this is more fun to me than playing video games, if I'm being honest. I love building projects, not always JavaScript and TypeScript based. I love just doing stuff. So what you're looking at right now is one of those projects. I had the idea a few months ago that I wanted to build a game, but not with a traditional game engine like most people use these days, something like Unity or Unreal Engine or something like that. Not what I was really going for. I wanted to build it with Canvas in the browser because I mean that's what I work with every day. It pushes me to use my knowledge of TypeScript, as well as I haven't used JavaScript for this sort of thing before. I've built games with the lightweight Java game library a long time ago. I built a Pong clone. I built the starts of a platformer long time ago, but I haven't done that since, and I've really been getting the itch to do that again. And so that's what I'm doing right now. So what you're seeing right now is a project I call Lumos. I call it that because in Harry Potter, that was the spell for light. And what I really want this to be is kind of like a dungeon platformer that is the levels are procedurally generated. And basically you just go until you can't go anymore, until you run out of lives. There's really no story behind it or anything like that. And I felt like that would really challenge me, not just on the like JavaScript knowledge of Canvas, that side, but also my problem solving skills, because there's a lot that goes into the procedural generation of dungeons. Because the procedural generation of dungeons, platforms, enemies, the coin system for collecting coins, and then I have all these other ideas that I really would like to get implemented. But yeah, so I could ramble about it all day. Let me go ahead and do npm run dev and fire up localhost 3000. I should mention this is using Solid.js. It's not using React, it's using Solid. If you're not familiar with Solid.js, we can pull that up really quick. It's built by a gentleman who I believe he used to work for eBay. I don't remember his last name. His first name's Ryan. But it's really cool. It's compiled rather than it's compiled like Svelte, if you're familiar with Svelte, unlike React or Vue, which are actually frameworks, right? This is compiled. So this is the repo here. I definitely recommend you giving it a try. It is I haven't tested it, but they're boasting that their performance is much better. I haven't put it through any sort of pressure tests or anything to be able to tell you one way or another. But it's really cool. I'm using that because outside of the game and the game's menus, like the start screen and the routing and all of that is handled with Solid. So I click start, and for some reason the navigation does not load exactly as I want it. But as you can see, it is set up a little bit. This is my latest few bugs that I've kind of run into. Basically we do have procedural platforms being generated. Currently I'm falling through the map, and it's happening whenever I'm supposed to hit like this. Whenever I get to the point in the world where this coin is, whenever I get to that point, that's where I fall through the map. But as you can see, I have lives set up. You can't really tell because of the state that I'm in right now. I could probably revert a commit and show you, but I have live set up to where, like, if I got hit by an enemy, right, then these would decrease. Once I get to the end of a level, this will increase. It's based on Roman numerals right now, but once I get to like round 11, it will, or floor 11, I should say. Once I get to floor 11, it goes to numbers. And then I have coins. So I have coins that you can collect. Obviously, that's where I am right now, is the coin collection. And I can kind of show you that in here. So I have this game directory, and I'm trying to keep this kind of sectioned off to where if you wanted to, you could plug this game into your own, you could plug it into like your own, into your own application if you wanted to. All you would have to do is provide it a canvas. And I'm also trying to document as much as I can. There's some things that I probably would do differently going forward. I set up a singleton instance for like the game manager so that I don't have to pass around. I don't have to pass around like the collidables everywhere. So we keep track of like collidables so that I can tell from like anywhere, does this entity overlap with this entity? If you're familiar with game terminology, like, is this player collidable with like this the floor tile or an enemy or something like that? Keeping track of things like, am I in debug mode? Because like if I pass in the query params debug equals true and reload, I can actually see the bounding boxes of all of the tiles, and that is also a bit buggy. You'll notice like once I get to a certain point, they kind of go away, and I'm not exactly sure what's happening there. It's basically whenever I get to where it's centered in the page, these are likely shifting, if I'm being honest. But I set up a singleton class for this, or a singleton instance for the game manager, so that I don't have to I don't have to pass those around everywhere. I can just kind of call it. I think I would probably go back and not do it that way, if I'm being honest. I think that there's probably quite a bit that I would refactor about this, because I haven't done this in a long time. This is my first attempt at this, and I have been trying not to read up on how people do this stuff until after I've done it, because I feel like I feel like that's how you get better, right? Like you try to do it yourself, and then you go and see how other people do it, so that you can get an appreciation for like, oh, okay, so that's what they're doing, and this, like, if I wanted to make mine better, or this is how I could do it, or this is why I think the way I did things is better. It makes your brain actually think about the problem rather than just going and copying and pasting a solution. Because ultimately, like, copying and pasting is going to be the fastest way to do this stuff. But I don't think that it's going to make a lasting impact on your understanding of all of this. Right. So that being said, I did something very similar for what I call the keyboard controller. The keyboard controller is a class that I created that basically sets up a map, a key map, and what that does is it's creating a map of all of the event listeners for specific keys within the application, and throwing an error or telling me that there's that like a key event has already been defined if one's already been defined. But that way, basically, from like the player, right, inside of the player, I can set up my keyboard listeners for the player, and inside of the player, I can go ahead and pass in a key event and then the callbacks for like what I want it to do. So in this case, like the A key, so I have this add key event, and it takes a key, the key down callback, and then the key up callback. So whenever I hit the A key, it changes my input direction for my player to the left. And then if I let off, it sets that to undefined. And this is how I manage like what kind of acceleration is applied to my player, right? So I set this up, which I actually kind of like this. I think that this isn't too bad. The only issue currently is that I think is that I see this on every refresh, and I don't think that that's too big of an issue. It's just like with hot module reloading, I end up seeing this console error a lot. So I'll probably end up putting something in as far as like I'll probably end up putting something in for at least the log to not do that locally, because we're gonna run into that a lot. As far as like entities, I have the base entity, which I'm setting a lot of this stuff up with the idea of like, how would I do this in Unity? Because you do have like empty game objects and that kind of stuff in Unity for specific reasons. And so I started with a base entity that I figure will have a position, a width, and a height. Width and height can always be 0. The position can be whatever I want it to be, but this is just a base entity. Oh, and then I should mention that like position and acceleration and all of those, they're all based on vector math. So I have a vector2 class set up that I use for a lot of stuff. And I mean a lot of stuff, like everything has a position of a vector2. So yeah, and then I have this. I've also like defined how you can look for the left and the right of an entity, as well as the top and bottom, just for easier checking of collisions later on. And then I have a bunch of getters and setters on the class as well. And then all entities have the ability for me to check, am I overlapping? Is there some sort of collisions? Not necessarily like handling collisions, but like checking whether or not something is overlapping with it, or is it within. Then we have like Collidable Entity, which this is one that would handle collisions. It's just a base entity that will handle collisions. And it also handles, like on render, it handles the drawing of the bounding box, or the bounding box of said entity. Physical entities, these are going to be your entities that they get gravity applied to them. Then you have like your environmental entities. This is going to be like basically ground, anything that like anything for like platforms, the ground. I have plans for pieces of the environment that can hurt you, pieces of the environment that if you walk over them and you stand on them for a certain amount of time, really common things like that. If you stand on them for a little bit of time, they will fall and could make you fall through the map. Really common things like that I want to implement, but for the time being, I'm still working on some of the little stuff. As far as game objects and enemies, I have a base enemy. This enemy basically just checks to see, like, are you within a certain distance? Are you a certain distance from the enemy? And if so, it tries to move. It has like a line of sight, right? Like, and if you're within that line of sight, basically, that's what this enemy line of sight distance is. If you're within that line of sight, it tries to move to the player. And it takes a target, so it doesn't actually have to be a player that it does that for, but it's typically going to be the player, right? Because it's an enemy. And then I have coins. These are going to be collectible. Right now, there's really nothing added for them, but they're going to be collectible. The player does have a coin count, and the idea will be that you can collect these as you go through the various levels, and you can collect these as you go through the various levels. You can collect, and then you'll get a certain amount for completing a floor. You'll get a certain amount for completing a floor. And then after that, you'll be able to use them for specific things. I haven't decided what that's going to be, but I'm really thinking about like potentially having the ability to change like texture packs, maybe upgrading or changing the way your player looks. And I don't want you to have to pay for that stuff. I want it to be, you to be able to earn that through playing the game. So that's kind of the idea. But yeah, no, it's coming along. It's pretty simple. I'm still using Vite, and so I have a means of like loading the, so here's like the game map. I have the procedural generation for adding platforms. I don't know that this is the best way to do this, but it's what I've got. And all of this, all of the procedural generation kind of works the same right now for enemies, coins, tiles, all of that. So I need to improve a bunch of this stuff, but for the time being, this is just kind of what I have. But I'll post a link to this. I'll post a link to the repo. You can check it out and see kind of what I've been working on. Like I said, I've been working with it. I have a means of like pulling images in. I have all of the assets here in images, but I will likely, I'm thinking I'm probably going to create a single sprite sheet that I will just point to certain positions in that sprite sheet, so that I can avoid all of these images and I can have just one big one that gets loaded in, because it basically, I have this system for, let me see if I can find it. I have this system. I think it's not here. I think it's in, where is it? It's not here. It's not here. It's in one of these, Lumos game. I think it's here. Yeah. So I have load game images, and it basically gets the root element, gets all of my image assets, which I have this util. This is provided from the Vite documentation for getting like all of these, getting all of a certain type of asset, importing those. So I'm getting all of my images and I'm returning those. And then basically I go through and I just create a bunch of image elements and I hide them. But I go ahead and I go ahead and I append that to the root element so that I can access these from the canvas, because an image has to be present within the DOM in order for a canvas to access them. So lots of fun stuff here. Like I said, I'll post a link to the repo in the description below. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think. If you like this kind of video, let me know. Like I said, I think it's kind of fun because I work on all of this stuff throughout the week. I think it'd be kind of cool. Maybe it doesn't have to be every week, but maybe every now and then, maybe twice a month, once a month, I just kind of show you what it is I've been working on in my personal time outside of just making YouTube videos. But yeah, let me know what, like I said, let me know what you think. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.